Hello there, everybody. Oh yeah, I tell you, I love the bass in that song. It's just so cool. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, happy New Year's Eve, and happy New Year's to those of I know tune in on the other side of the planet. Welcome everyone. So good to see you. Having a great day. I don't know about you, just digging it. And as he goes around, clicking this button, clicking that button. So how is everybody? Hey, Rennie, how you doing? Let's see what's all. Hey, Lucky Stone, Nina the Mystic, hello. David Castle, all the moderators, good to see you. Loretta, Carol. Wow, Blanca, good to see you. Kent Cook, hello, and happy New Year's to everyone. Happy, joy, joy. Uh, we could use it. This world, it's always interesting. It's never boring. Did get my flag, flying it proudly. So, yeah, we're starting something, and regardless of what modern day legislators have done, which they did erroneously, we can correct this and start. Um, there is a psychological thing about the flags. And if we can communicate one that says peace, why not? Right. So favor and BOSTO to everyone. Hope everyone is in good health. Happy birthday to those who are having one. And if you are having one, 31st is one of those days. It's like, wow. Anyway, we're about to go into New Year's. Tomorrow, I think we're going to do the card reading if our group, Robert V, if the panel is up for it. So tonight on the Steiger Perspective, artistfirst.com at 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. my time. Please join me. I will be talking about the year in review 2020 and what's next. And I kind of give my prediction on the following, talk about the election, the economy, the pandemic, what will happen on June 30th, UFO Disclosure Day, possibility of war, cosmic events with the sun, and other such interesting topics. And I also am making a proposal for Congress. Um, and I'll just tell you, listen to it. See, I write these shows, and then when I go live, of course, as everyone knows, you as a producer, you know read your script, and I respect my audience as I respect you, and so just don't make it up as I'm going. It's like, let's talk about the key points. And anyway, tonight I am putting forth my proposal to Congress, and to the president, whichever one will take over eventually. Um, Screw the 2000s, excuse me. There we go. Takes my breath away. Um, the $2,000. I mean, I propose $100,000. Mm-hmm. And I'm not kidding. I really do. Um, so tune in. You'll see how my proposal um, is logical, makes sense, and how it is paid for. And it's not what you think that everyone gets $100,000. That everyone does, and by the way, that's annually. But it goes into um, trust accounts, and you tune in, you'll see. Anyway, so what else is going on? Yes, Loretta, it would stimulate the economy in more ways than what you could ever imagine. But remember, I can't say it here because of the censors. Tune in. You'll see. Yeah. Hey Jenny, how you doing? Happy New Year's to you, my dear. So good to see everybody. Ember Dawn, hello. Ellen Gilbert, so good to see everyone. Tell you, I'm just in a groovy kind of mood. I mean, when you get to listen to something like the Hollies, Long Cool Woman, come on, you know, yeah, it's it's like, okay, 21, come on in. I'm just speaking joy. I'm speaking pleasantness over the new year. And let's rock and roll. That's the way I look at it. So new year, I like that. John Price. No, that's just funny. That's cool. Got a great group. Y'all are just far out. Y'all are good people. Much love to you. And so kind of looking at 2020, there were a couple of shows where I got just an inordinate amount of emails, and this topic about creating servitudes was the number one show of this year, which we did a lot this year. I mean, we covered some ground, as one person wrote me, said, Steiger, you tread into ground. He said, you don't just tread, you plow it up on grounds that he says that angels nor demon nor archon would dare to traverse. Well, at least we know the company is good and the neighborhood has not been corrupted. So that's pretty good. That's the way I look at it. So I put together a PowerPoint that went with this, and I did, because I got so many requests, I actually put together a DYI manual. We're going to get into it. So creating thought forms, we do it all the time. We really do. Look around your life and take an honest inventory, and there are your servitors. It's true. I know that sounds really weird. Now, there are those external circumstances that go beyond our control. I get that. I get that. But we're also talking about, as we did yesterday, individual reality. If we are part of the oneness, that gets really interesting. So what happens when we begin to learn how to control these gifts, these natural abilities that I believe that we were endowed with before we even came into this realm? I believe we carry it into this realm because the evidence says that it does. Otherwise, people wouldn't see spirits, poltergeists, ghosts, angels, demons, whatever. So obviously, yeah, um, I think they do. And when you see how many we create, many times people have so many servitors that you've never released them. And if you really release them, then it allows them to take their evolution, because these are living energies, entities, however you want to call it. So one of the key focus points here is faith. I keep stating this. Without faith, nothing exists. Your whole existence, your being, is because you have faith. I've met most people that I have encountered in my life have more faith in the negative, in the opposite, in fear, than they do in what I call non-polluted faith. You know, it says perfect love casteth out fear. But if you have more faith in fear, guess what? You're going to manifest exactly that. We all create. And think about an animal that you would like. All right, I'll carry on to that. There are ways that you can begin to easily validate this, that we literally create every moment. There's no doubt about it. We do. If consciousness exists, and I guess it does, isn't that what we're uh, Attention, shoppers. Are you conscious of being conscious? I don't know. But in the truest sense of the word and the exact meaning, we are thought beings. Star Trek Next Generation did an episode called Where No Man Has Gone Before. And there was this alien who called himself the Traveler. And he was able to move time just by the thought. And when he joined that thought with other humans that were on the same thing, powerful things happen. And the whole point of that is that we're intemporal, corporeal bodies, but we are in fact thought beings. That document we read yesterday, the covenant, again, thank you, Bonnie, and Eva 123 Truth Seeker. Thank you again. It's very illuminating, isn't it not? But it shows that there's this level. The best author in fiction that I have read that has captured the essence of what his writings opened a door for me back in the 90s. And that's when I began the first time to be introduced to beings. You could call them the otherness. They're not emotional beings. They're so far advanced in consciousness and intelligence that they really don't pay attention to us. Rarely do they come down, rarely do they ever interject itself. You can say themselves. I mean, they're even above that, if that makes sense. Anyway, F. Paul Wilson, check out his writings. I keep telling Robert V, the book Night World it's actually the third of a trilogy, but it really brings into focus that we are thought beings. In the final end of the summary of each of our existence is thought. Faith is the substance. One of the things that is so ingrained in me is that I know this. I mean, I see the words right now. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. If you can allow the rhema of that word, allow it to bring the gnosis of the meaning of what I just said to you, your life will change. We are all of substance. Even our conscience is of a substance. And it's this substance that can be molded, can be fashioned, can be manipulated, massaged into exactly what you as a thought being want. Even fear is faith in the negative. The reason why there's so much fear, even in the truther community, because fear is the number one thing the truther community feeds off of, is fear. Always something. Someone sent me an email about the Nashville bombing, and it was completely just so erroneous, but it emphasized that people are addicted to fear. Fear it's fun. Fear is exotic. Fear is stimulating. Fear is orgasmic. That's why humans are so drawn to fear. It's in them. And this is really the firewall that has to be broken. If we're ever going to break the firewall, this is it. And people need to be taught faith. There's so many people that that I know that are secularists. They've never had any religious teaching, and there's never been any substantive teaching on faith, because faith has been hijacked. It's been manipulated and absconded by a dogma, as you know, a creed. But yet it's the very foundation. It's what they really feed off of us. In the final, again, analysis, this is what they're feeding off of. They're feeding off of our faith. That's what I contend, and I wrote a paper on this back in the days when I was preaching, that I began to see that if back then, if there was this Satan, this devil, then what it was really feeding off of was faith, because it's exactly what God feeds off of. Anything that doesn't proceedeth from faith is sin. Put it in that term. And so these beings, they feed off of this faith. It's a substance. Worry is faith activating fear. And by the way, folks, I should have updated this to really put in parentheses in this. Your faith is creating these servitors. If you're creating a servitor of worry, oh, brother and sister, my, what the freak are you doing? But that's what really is happening. And over the years and the decades, these servitors become, well, they're not going to move on because you've never deactivated them. Why? Because most people are absolutely masters at worrying. You can put them in a perfect situation where the odds are completely in their favor, and they're still going to find something wrong. They're still going to find a reason to worry. They're activating their fear. Now, in many beliefs, there is a belief system that says, well, what you're actually doing, this is the mindscape. You are the host, and what you're actually creating is a tulpa. So the tulpa is what's happening. So if you saw this going on a movie screen, your tulpa is doing the stuff. You're not you. Your tulpa will look like you. And it's going out there into the ethereal realm. Actually, to be candid with you, it's going into the physical realm as well. There are those who can project their thoughts, target to an individual, and make that individual feel sick to their stomach. So to create is to bring something into existence. And I put the emphasis on something, because something is never ending. But the interesting thing is that there is this veil, this partition. It's like, where is the universe expanding into? What is it? Well, it's this substance. And you can literally, we are in the realm of existence. Another one is to cause something to happen as a result of one's actions. Well, if you're creating servitors, you've got a lot of action, baby. People don't realize that I keep saying this. I'm on the record. Go back 3 years or so, and you'll see I was telling everyone, listen, you don't really understand what's happening here. The more attention you pay to that, you're creating a servitor, but it's not of your making. We can create thought forms that exist only in the internet. I've shown you. We see it through symbology, sigils, signs, flags. Take a look at those. That's how you begin to build a golem. You can actually transfer that into a servitor as well. This is what they look like. You ever seen one? This is what they've dug up. This is an Old Testament golem. That'd make you piss your pants if you come walking up on that, wouldn't it? Holy shit, what the heck? Ay, 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 and the damn thing's talking and moving. Uh-huh. You see, it's just a matter of where your faith is, which makes it powerful. The Israelites were known for this. So were the Egyptians. There are other cultures that they're priests, they're alchemists, they're magicians, they're magi's, they're gods. We're literally able to create life out of the substance of the earth. Folks, this is a part of the knowledge that has been lost. Listen, if what that document of the covenant said, if they ever figured out that we actually believed this, and then we as a group, even as small as our little group, we'll get on the list real quickly. Check it out. Now, you can actually build servitors that accomplish bringing love into your life, relationships, opportunities of advancement, even in the most depressing times. Remember, out of every depression and Great Recession, more new millionaires were made. Think about that. Because we create many different belief systems. The servitor is not a new thing. It's ancient. Many different belief systems, different names. But nevertheless, I mean, you know, Avatar. It's all the same thing. This is where Cameron got the story. We can create in ways that are absolutely unimaginable. Thought forms, servitors. If you look at some of the symbology I'm showing you here, stare at this. Those of you who are watching, I know there's many that are listening, and thank you. But if you start meditating on these shapes, allow it to begin to open up your psychic connections, you'll be surprised what takes place within you. And the thing about it is just like the flag behind me, it all communicates and creates. So allow me to get out of here. Thank you. Oh, I may have cut this off too soon. Well. Oh yeah. So now he's going to go back and I'm going to go, no, wait a minute. So I cut it off too soon because you're really going to like this. So he goes back over here and then he goes back over here and then we go back over here. Hey, smoke them if you got them and drink them if you like them. That's my attitude. So one of the things that I was actually almost missing on this is that even though of us who get this knowledge, that was weird. Things are moving in my office that absolutely should not be moving. Oh, yeah, man, I tell you what. Woo, so I'm sending out some energy right now. I'm going to tell you what, that was amazing. Now, if you can do that, I want you to actually manifest in an audible way. Anyway, seriously, that was too cool for school. The thing that we have to learn is that when we start getting into metaphysical, we begin to understand deeper insights into the spirituality. You know, that question no one answered by this group, by the way. So, does intelligence require spirituality? Does spirituality require intelligence? And if they're separate, how do they exist or coexist into one singularity of thought? Hmm, don't know. You know, is thought consciousness or is consciousness thought? And does higher intelligence necessarily equate to higher spirituality? Does spirituality even play a role in the higher realms? Because it would seem that spirituality, in essence, serves only the duality of this reality. Ooh, don't you like that? Woohoo! Oh, there. Uh, so, as we continue, so controlling your thoughts for many people is like herding cats. It really is. I mean, try meditating. Uh, Franz was the one that was really into the discipline of teaching his initiates just this concept right here. How do you begin to getting the thoughts organized and getting put into place? Because they won't stay, damn it. They continue to want to wander off. And then, you know, they start wandering off. They start bringing in just all sorts of crazy crap. I mean, thoughts don't act right. You know, you're seeing stuff that go, no, no, wait a minute. That doesn't even make sense. And then you get these random thoughts that come out of the bushes out of nowhere. And the next thing you know is like, well, you know, some thoughts are just way too cool to, you know, pay attention to any other thoughts. And then you got those badass thoughts, you know, that says, ha ha ha, who's the badass? Who's the badass? I'm the badass. Because once you start getting the badass thoughts, well, then you really start can be going into where the thoughts just start running away. It's so true. And we're just like cats. We really are in the disciplining of our minds. There, that was the end. So I knew I wasn't that far off, but yeah, come on. I love the cat that has the badass. Badass. So I think that thank you, Belanca. Yes, slap that the like button. Yeah, thank you. So the point I think is well served because we all know it's true. It's absolutely true. And many of us knew this from the time we were children. Uh, how many of you ever got reprimanded because you got caught daydreaming? How many of you got caught daydreaming a lot? You just simply, why? Because the material was boring. The teacher was, you know, it's like drinking, you know, sand. And we carried off into another place. Why? We liked it there. And the thing about it is, if you remember back then and think about this, you were extremely focused in on one thought. And that's what carried you away. And if you were like me with my fifth grade teacher, Miss Buttons, rapped my knuckles a few times, shit, that hurt, man. I want to tell you what. Bam! You know, but it brought me back, you know, it just brought me back. Yeah, Peter Meter said, yeah, who said that Charlie Brown? Oh, Get Money Jones. That's right. The Charlie Brown syndrome. Wah, 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 wah. Lost in spaces, drooling on my desk. Yeah. Uh-huh. So, you know, that's what was happening. It was an aspect of what you would call an OBE, out of body experience. So if you can recall that that essence, that sensation. So a lot of people say, all right, so how do I do this? Great that you showed me all the pretty pictures in your PowerPoint, but really I don't give a damn about that. What I really want to know about, how do I really create this? Because the person is probably, skeptical, cautious. Good. You should be. So this is really, if you want it, it's in a Word document. You can use this and you can begin to read it like a textbook. So creating your servitor is really a three-step process. It's creation and design, the charging, and the casting or sending forth. Um, these can, the statement of intent. This is important. And by the way, the statements of intent can be very one word. You can say promotion, wealth, opportunities. I mean, however you want to do it. I wrote that this is a most important part of being successful. You cannot be ambiguous, vague, or unsure about what your goal is. If you fail at completing this, you will not be successful. It's serious, folks. Learn to write down your visions, your dreams, those things. Once you write it down, it is, in fact, the process of alchemy. When you write it down, it's literally bringing something out of the ether, the substance. The first thing that you will want to do is to create a statement of intent. This is essentially just what it sounds like. Create a phrase or a paragraph that describes exactly what you want to accomplish with your servitor, what you would want your servitor to do. I had a person that I taught this to, and they were wanting to buy a house. And every time they found a house that fit their needs, what they had seen was taken away from them, always. So I taught them how to create a servitor that would prevent that. They did. And guess what? They got their house. It works, folks. It really does. It is essentially let me just tell you why it works, because other people aren't using it. So you've got nearly 7.5 billion people out there that don't know what they're doing. And when you come along, even as an apprentice to become a journeyman and eventually a master, that's why your servitors are much more victorious and successful, because they're encountering other servitors that have no freaking idea what they're doing. It is essentially a very simple statement, but it begins to focus your mind on the task at hand. The statement or paragraph should be at the beginning of your page. You might need to modify the statement once you write it down. There might be things that come to mind as you write the statement, things that you didn't think of until you wrote it, and that you would like to express more precisely. Appearance, purpose, and powers. APP. Now that you know what you want, and let me just digress again back to what I just back there. This works, folks. I have seen people manifest homes. I've seen people manifest opportunities of buying real estate. I've seen people that once they got together, particularly couples, one can put 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight. If couples get together and really focus in on this, you literally can, you'd be surprised the power of your servitor. Because once it goes out there, you can't see the things that it's encountering, but it will be successful. Start thinking about the kind of servitor that you would like to have in order to realize your desires. Underneath your most refined statement of intent, write a paragraph that describes exactly what your servitor will be doing and how it will be doing it. Use point, form, or whatever style you like. My servitor is going to accomplish that, the fact that I want to find a financial windfall. And furthermore, I want my servitor to be aware of opportunities that I am not aware of and bring to full manifestation. And this is how my servitor will begin to operate this. And you put point 1, point 2, point 3. See how it goes? By detailed in your description, the more detail, the better. I want my servitor to find particularly a house that has X amount of acres. Now, I could get very specific, but I'm trying to give you generalities. You could talk about health. I mean, there's just all sorts of things that you can do. Money is just not the only one. It's only a part of. Um, Be detailed in your descriptions. The more you detail, the better. Detail your desires so that you can begin to map out exactly what your servitor will look like and what it will be doing. At this time, you'll want to fully develop all the powers that your servitor will have. What kind of powers is yours? Mine has what I call super abundant insight of wisdom. Makes it a powerful being. It's got wisdom. It's already endowed with wisdom. Folks, it works. It is quite possible that after all of this work, you have a pretty clear picture of what kind of servitor that you want. And you will most likely even have a name that you might feel represents your servitor. Yeah. If you treat all this like a fun and creative endeavor, you will find it very easy to focus all of your attention on it. Do you know that it's interesting how these things show up in ways that we cannot even imagine? People I know have actually found opportunity that their servitors brought to them to actually talk to trees. I know it sounds weird, but it's true. And the trees provided wisdom in a way that the people hadn't even thought about. But we don't think that trees actually talk. Well, that's just nonsense, Wayne. Keep your servitor design simple and small. The reason for this is that it takes a lot of energy and concentration to create a large or highly complex creatures. You want something that you can visualize easily and that will come together before you without much difficulty. Remember the pictures I showed you of the golem? Keep it simple at first. Your servitors will work better and the job will be much easier. Also, don't be afraid to borrow any image that you like. If, for example, you play some video game and you find in it a creature that you think would make a good, perfect servitor, use it. It's already in you. Just use the creative essence that it's already saturated your creative essence with. Drawing. Now, this is important. You know why I draw on my mandalas? There's a reason for everything. Drawing. Underneath the descriptive paragraph, sketch a design for your servitor. Nothing fancy. Just iron out the design that has been percolating in your mind until you have a creature that with all of the attributes that you want. Now, mine is a really cool. All of them that I create are really cool. I mean, they just got coolness endued with them, you know. Underneath all this is a good idea to do a point-by-point list of your servitor's powers. It could be something like it glows with intense loving energy, or it shoots lasers out of its eyes. Don't be limited. Don't be boxed in by what you've read in some religion or some, dogma. Hey, you're a god. It's up to you to give it the powers you think it will need. Name. Write the name of your servitor underneath the picture you just drew. The name is important because this is how you call the servitor to you. It's a magical word. You must therefore never reveal the name of your servitor to anyone. So up to this point, you have 1, a statement of intent or paragraph that describes your servitor what it will be doing, and its power. 2, a personal drawing of what your servitor looks like. 3, your servitor's powers in point form. And 4, finally, your servitor's name. Now, this is optional, but there's so many of us who love drawing sigils. Still got mine all over. Creating a sigil or logo. Again, this is optional. You can make a picture of your servitor. Doing a drawing is powerful, and it is. It's very powerful. Why? Because, again, you're focusing your intent and singularity of one thing, and it's absorbing that. Another method that people have used is to take the name of your servitor and simplify and combine letters of this name in order to create a type of sigil that symbolically represents your servitor. For example, if your servitor is called Turtle, you could create a logo out of your servitor like this. As you can see, every letter in the word turtle is represented in the sigil, and we'll see the sigil here in a second. I think we will. Maybe not. It is up to you to decide what you find better. I personally like to use the simplified drawing of what I think my servitor looks like. It is easier for me to concentrate on this particular logo at first, and I find that it is easier to do this than to try and create a correlation between a servitor sigil and my actual thought form. Don't make it too complicated. One size can fit all. Some people find this to be exactly the opposite and have an easier time identifying symbolically with the sigil version only. Whatever floats your boat. I suggest, therefore, that you try both methods and see what works best for you. The simplified image or logo of your servitor is a very helpful when you begin part 2 of the process, which involves charging your servitor. It is much easier to visualize your servitor in logo form at first, and after a while, this logo version becomes easy to see in your mind's eye. So, charging your sigil. When you charge your servitor, for the first time, it will feel sort of like you're learning to walk all over again, but you'll get the hang of it very quickly. And once you have charged your servitor one time, the next time will seem infinitely easier. This is because, having done it once, your mind will begin to explore and realize all sorts of new and different capabilities. It will also be easier because, having charged your servitor once, the second charge will be like an accumulation on the first, making everything much easier to focus on. The more you do it, the easier it gets, like anything else. The more you do it, the stronger your creature gets, and the easier it is to recharge it and to see it manifest. Now remember, most of everybody has been doing the opposite, the fear. That's why a lot of times when people see in their nightmares those ugly creatures, they're manifestations of your fears. Now, if you start imagining and seeing in your sleep, in your dreams, your servitor, da 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 da, that's what I'm talking about. In order to charge your servitor, what you will want to do is to get that piece of paper that you used to create your servitor in the first place. If you would like to, you can also get a new piece of paper, and on this new piece of paper, write down the logo version of your servitor along with its name. Very important. With this paper in hand, I want you to find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed for at least the next 10 to 30 minutes. Take some time to relax. And as you do, so I want you to begin to pay attention to the picture and the name that you have before you. Begin by repeating the name of your servitor quietly, like almost a mantra. Now, during the next 10 to 30 minutes, I want you to focus completely on your servitor and imagine with every single fiber of your being that your servitor is real and is now before you. I personally recommend that you begin this exercise as one would begin a game, Imagine back to the time when you were a child. Seriously. And you were able to pretend that this or that was real. You can do it. Some of you are right there right now. I know I see it as well. I'm back in my bedroom, my grandparents' house in Santa Clara, California in 1959. As a child playing a game, you could pretend for hours, imagining, for example, that you were some kind of astronaut or that you were inside a big giant spaceship, pretending like this was easy because it wasn't a task, it was a game. It was the same kind of childlike enjoyment. I want you to pretend that the servitor that you have before you on paper is real. As you begin to do this exercise, you might want to imagine that you can actually see the servitor above your paper, becoming more and more focused and solid. While I want you to visualize this creature for me with as much detail as possible, I want you to always stay focused on the fact that your main concern is to believe that your servitor is real. It is the actual act of belief that is important here. It is as important as your mental focus. By mental focus, I mean that you are concentrating only on the act that you are performing right now, and you forget about every single other thing but this one thing that you are doing now. The act of believing is a difficult one, and doubts will creep up seemingly out of nowhere, which will affect your concentration. If this happens to you, just power through it, clear your mind, and then begin to focus once again on the fact that you believe with every single fiber of your being that the servitor before you is real and that it is becoming manifested before your eyes. Your eyes should be open during this exercise and you should be wide awake. If you can do this with great concentration and focus, you will not need to really visualize anything because these visualizations will begin to happen all by themselves. That is, you will not need to visualize some kind of blob of energy before you because this blob will actually start to coalesce before you as you believe. Clear and vivid visualization must therefore be naturally happens as a result of the focused manipulation of your beliefs. Try to maintain this focused belief session for 10 to 30 minutes. If done properly, you might find that it is quite strenuous. You will. I recommend a nap afterwards because you'll get a freaking headache. At least I did. I can personally exert myself a great deal while doing an exercise like this. Sweating and raising in blood pressure are not uncommon. Charging a servitor for the first time can take a lot of psychic force, and the amount of force tends to grow exponentially depending on the size and complexity of your servitor. I personally recommend that you charge your servitor 3 times before you consider it strong enough to go out on its first mission. Each charge should be performed just like I have outlined above and should happen on 3 consecutive days if you can. Controlling your servitor. You must always remember that you are the one in control. You are the one who gives energy to the servitor that you create, and you are the one who can control energy with your mind, which can even be used to repeal any thought form that might have become unpleasant. Many people find this dominant attitude quite difficult. And it is because of this difficulty that they have many of the problems that they encounter with thought forms. When someone hates someone else, they're creating a thought form, a very primitive servitor, because people that hate are extremely focused in on that hate. They feed off of it. becomes stronger, stronger. And the reason why, it's because it's easier. It's true. Some people are very good at creating the actual servitor. That is, they can create a form and imbue that form with enough psychic energy to make it functional, but they seem to lack the ability to move this creature about that they have created. For people who are having this kind of problem, I usually advise that they take a different approach to the whole charging operation. I usually tell folks who are experiencing this difficulty to take a longer period to charge their servitors, so that while they are charging them, they are also giving them simple commands. What I recommend is that they charge their servitor for a few minutes, and then once they can see or feel the form of their servitor, order the servitor to go to say one end of the room to the other. Let's say, for example, that you are charging your servitor and that you can actually see it or feel it right above the piece of paper that you use to create it. When it becomes powerful enough that you can actually sense its form, I want you to try and have this creature move away from the paper to perhaps the other side of the room where you happen to find yourself. Does it move? If it doesn't, or you find that it's quite difficult for you to have it to move in a steady fashion, what you need to do is to realize that in order to have it move in the way that you want it to, you need to develop your intent. Actually, it's not that hard. You use these skills already. If you raise children, you are really good at this. It's a skill that you already have. Why? Because you have to manipulate their minds in order for them to do what you want them to do. Just as how, folks, it's not spooky. It's not woo, 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 woo stuff. This is very commonsensical. If you remember, the act of intending is really the act of believing without question. Yeah, think about this. That the command that you have given is being carried out. So, in order to have your servitor move when you intend it to move, what you need to do is to believe with every ounce of your being that it is moving to the area that you want it to go. You use the same method that you use to charge your servitor. You intend by believing. So, if you are having problems controlling your servitor and getting the results, results that you want from it, I suggest that you take it easy. When you are charging it, practice giving your servitor simple commands. It should obey these commands instantly. As I told one of my readers, you have learned how to create the machine. Now you must learn how to control it. And the real key here, folks, is this: you've got to believe. Many people will, your biggest battle is going to be yourself, your self-doubts. This is bullshit. No one can do this. Who the hell does that guy think he's talking to? Well, all I got to say, don't waste your time. Don't even try. You'll continue to empower your own servitors that you have right now that are already moving. Just because you necessarily can't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. It says, in this fashion, you can develop your servitor's power, and at the same time, you can work on having it to do what you desire on command. Have it move again across the room. Have it spin around. Make it go up and down. When you can get your servitor to move about effortlessly, you will be ready to cast your servitor so that it goes forth to execute your desires instantly. What is wonderful about this form of slow charging is that your servitor becomes far more concrete after one of these exercises. Since you are not just charging your servitor in one area, you get to see and discover many more aspects of your thought form. For example, when you asked it to go from one end of the room to another, You are forced to extend the power of your charge so that you must also fill in the details for what your servitor might look like from behind or what it might look like when it's moving. If your servitor moves past certain furniture, can you see through it? A powerful visualizer, one that is really good at believing in the reality of their servitor, can create a thought form that is so vivid that it actually looks solid and opaque as it travels from one end of the room to other. True story here, folks. There are golfers, top performing athletes. These people, they make, $5-6 million a year playing a game. That if you watch them when they're practicing, they're talking. And it's really interesting if you see how they're talking. They're talking to something. It's not just themselves. They're talking to something. Many of them create servitors as coaches. A coach can be distracting, but if I have a servitor that's, again, expand your vision of what a servitor can actually do. It is usually servitors that are created using this low charging method that become truly powerful in a very short time. I have personally been able to see glimpses of servitors created by others in the day using this method. Whenever I wish to truly condense a thought form and increase the power of my servitor exponentially, I too use this method, which always delivers amazing results. Think of this slow charging process, coupled with exercising commanding your servitor, and to the advanced charging method, one that you use when you are comfortable with your servitor and wish to give it a stronger charge. Over time, you will develop the power of your intent. Personal intent is empowered through strong focus and the ability to easily manipulate your beliefs. Once your intent becomes powerful enough, you should have no problem controlling your servitor. You will also discover that you will be able to command thought forms that were not created by you. This is the very good skill to have, as you will discover in the next chapter as we go forward. So, what do you think? What's going on in the chat room? I like that lucky stone. I see what's like. Okay, I'm just reading some of that. Folks, I know this sounds weird because we live in such a conditioned society. All religions are dead religions. That's the thing. There's no power in these religions, and that's why as we enter into this new age, we're going to see shifting. When you have a congregation that is alive, things happen, miracles happen, outstanding things happen. I've seen it, and it's not because of a god or a religion. It's the fact that a group of people came together so focused, so unified in the singularity of thought, the miracles began to happen right and left and extended when people left. I know, I've lived that. What does that say? Okay, I have this chapter in a Word document if you want it. So, but I'm just telling you, this is how it works. And for me, it's not a stretch. I get it. We exist, as Philo aptly pointed out, there's not a square inch that is not filled with life. The creator is not a wasteful creator. Everything has a purpose, everything has a place. And when you learn this hidden knowledge, this is the knowledge that has been lost. But here's what I know. Most people listening to this will never, ever accomplish it. They won't. Crystal Shaman. Oh, well, thank you. Yes. Exactly. Bazinga. Yeah. So I'll put it in another term. You will see people in the metaphysical community that will tell you about angels that they deal with, archangels, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael. Folks, in reality, they're not actual angels, they're servitors. I mean, you can create servitors to go help other people. It's amazing what you can do when you create these thought forms that are out there to help others and not yourself. It's quite remarkable because they go out fully charged. They're powerful. And then you've got those shamans, those practitioners that will say, of course, Wayne, yes, we know this. It's the same thing as casting a spell. When you cast spells, who are you sending out to do the work? It's most likely a servitor, probably a very basic one, but in order for a spell to work, you have to have the concentration and what? Belief. Thank you, James. Happy New Year's to you. And you know, we're all learning here. We're going to all start using this. There is a purpose for all this. I keep contending. Imagine if a group of us got together, started practicing this, and then got together and began to collaborate into where we began to build a group servitor, an actual living tulpa. Now we have to decide who's going to house it. I vote Al. We'll put it in Al's house. Or how about David Barry? Could you imagine that? But anyway, and actually create our own tulpa. Why not? And once we get good enough to creating one, we can start creating a whole bunch of others. Imagine. Uh, Lucky Stone says he creates servitors to protect the forest. I believe that. Absolutely. I've seen your videos, Lucky. I absolutely would agree with that. So, yeah. Yes, tomorrow I will be here with the panel to do the card reading. If the panel is still here, I know Nina will be, I know Jenny will be, I know Steve will be, and I'm certainly hoping that Miss Amber will be. I haven't seen her. There, Jenny, you said it is true. Jenny says, my spells are always an extension of myself. Yes, 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 yes. That is the part. Absolutely. I think it's already in my house. Don't tell my wife. I mean, that'll get me in deep, deep doo-doo, you know? Anyway, well, this has been a great New Year's Eve. I don't know if anyone's doing shows tonight, but if it is, I'm doing my radio show. Tune in. You'll love to hear it. And, you know, let me know if you have another's. There is Amber. How are you, Amber? Missed you, dear. Haven't seen you in a while. So there we go. The panel is back. We got the band back together. That's all I got to say. You know, got the band back. All right, there it is. So we got a full house. We'll have fun tomorrow. It'll be New Year's, and hey, we'll just have fun. See how it goes. Jenny, I'm going to look forward to that. What does Carol Lynn say? Karen Lynn says we're deep in it. Yeah, we are. All right, folks, have a great day. Just thank you, Amber. It's good to hear, hon. You know, have fun tonight, however you celebrate it, however you want to welcome it. We'll do our part by seeing what the cards have to say, and tune in. I mean, I've got my list in all my notes in my my 7 predictions for the new year coming up. So there you go. Thank you for everyone to hit the like button. Thank you, all the moderators. Much love to all of you. Thank you, all the Wonderful Soul Tribe family. Y'all are just groovy people. Much love to you. Namaste to you. I speak favor over you. I speak protection. And as you go forth into the new year, you're empowered to prosper in all ways. So that's how I call it. That's how I see it. And we'll see it come to pass. So thank you, everyone. Much love to you all. Big Al, drive safe out there, my friend. With you and Perry, we'll